What is up, everybody? What is up? What is up? Shout out to all 6'9" of you that are in the building. I'm super excited to be here. Welcome to the adult table. I'm excited to introduce you to some of my favorite adults tonight. Happy Thursday. Happy Friday, Junior. That's what I call Thursday because we're almost to Friday. We done almost made it to Friday. Go us, go us. It's been a crazy week. It's always a crazy week, but you know, I always say I'm grateful to all 85 of you all that are in the building. I'm super excited for my panel. This is part of my self-care, being at the adult table, talking to my friends, talking to people that I'd like to talk to and talking about things that I like to talk to and interacting with you guys. So please interact in the comments, like, subscribe, share. This is going to be some good old-fashioned adult conversation. We're going to talk about all the things that happened this week and what's been going on and what's been going on with y'all. So I'm excited to have Queen Sheba here. I know she has her peoples in the building, so I appreciate y'all. What's up, Linda Gamble? What's good? And, you know, personally, I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers, so I'm super excited for that. We started from the bottom. So we earned every single subscriber. So I'm super excited. I'm honored that you would even tap in with me. So I appreciate it. I appreciate my Sarah, Queen Shiba, who will be on shortly, blessing me with her presence, blessing all of us with her wisdom. Appreciate her greatly. Let me address a couple things before we bring in the guests. We had a press conference this week and a visit to the White House for Shanquilla Robinson's case, which was great that we had the opportunity to go to the White House. For those of you who were able to come to the rally, super appreciate you guys. We posted clips of it. It's available. The full press conference is online. I believe my law partner, Ben Crump, posted it fully on his Facebook page. He recorded the whole thing. There was some issues raised with the bee wearing sneakers with my suit. And I just want to address that because I feel like that's the last thing that we should be addressing about the press conference. But I'm going to do it because I understand, you know, the culture is the culture. It's from head to toe. So it's okay. I will address it. We were at the press conference. I was rushing in the morning. I didn't eat breakfast. I didn't have a lot of water. We had the visit to the White House. And then I went straight, obviously, with the family and everybody to the rally. I started feeling a little bit dizzy. I was standing in my heels for a long time. And so I popped in, which you'll see if you see the whole press conference, you'll see the point where I kind of step away from the podium. I went inside and just for like 2 seconds. And then I changed my shoes and came back out. Okay, so I didn't go there with the intention. That wasn't a style or anything. That was absolutely functional. And I didn't even think it would really matter, but it did. Here's the clips that we made. Hopefully it's not in the clips. Is it showing in the clips? Or was it?
Get out of the way.
Oh, okay. Here's Quilla Long.
The White House is starting to get the message that we're not going to stand down.
There's her mom in the teal. We had colors that day. There's Tamika Mallory. There's Ben Crump. That's actually the room that we met in is actually the same room that Martin Luther King negotiated and discussed the Civil Rights Act. That was the same room. So I had like a little law nerd moment with that.
We're not going to accept later, tomorrow, 10 years from now.
Oh, they didn't show my shoes then. That's when I had on my grown-up shoes.
Will hold a news conference today in Washington, D.C. They plan to demand diplomatic intervention by the president and Department of State.
Dr. Ben Chavies was in the building.
We know that there's a court pending
Attorney Ben
in Mexico. And you're all going to hear from my brilliant law partner, Attorney Robinson, Attorney Sue Ann Robinson. No relation, but she's becoming like a daughter to Miss Alabama.
That's true. I love me Miss Mondi. I love Miss Mondi.
Courageously did what
They're very courageous.
they didn't do at the FBI. went to Mexico and turned over rocks to search for the truth.
For the people's movement.
Yeah.
It's Shanquilla Robinson. It's her family. They're lost. But Shanquilla is our sister.
And I got pushed back because we had to protect Black women.
Will you all fight with her?
I don't know why I was getting pushed
She
back on
is
that.
worth the fight. Will you all fight with her? She is worth the fight. Will you all fight with her?
Yeah, I've gotten some pushback on protect Black women because people are saying
Well, the family of Shanquilla Robinson
Shanquilla was attacked and beaten by a Black woman. So how can you say protect Black women? But I feel that the issue at this point, and mainly what we're addressing, obviously, is accountability of the people who attacked and brutally beat Shanquilla Robinson, but also the fact that her rights as a Black woman are not being honored even in her death. And so when I say protect Black women in this context, that's what I mean. We have to protect Black women's rights, even in death. She has the right for the people who hurt her, harmed her, to be held accountable. And that's what we're fighting for. So I appreciate all of you who are in the building. Again, this is like my self-care to be able to sit with you guys and talk about some stuff and talk to people that I think are very special and important and share them with you all. So please, thank you. All the good stuff. Like, share, subscribe. Appreciate you guys. Thanks in advance to everyone that's doing that. Thanks in advance for 1,000 followers. And I did make a promise on my page for when we get to 1,000 followers. And I promise I will keep my promise. Now, let's get into it. We will bring in our first guest. Hey, Cynthia. Hey, Audrey Gavins. What's up? Hey, Daryl Long. What's going on? Let's get into it. Lawyer, father, husband to Rashida, legend, rapper, chair of the Center for Anti-Racism at Temple University, my friend, Timothy Womack. Welcome to the Adult Table. What's up? He's on mute. You got to unmute him.
Yeah, unmute yourself. Yeah, unmute.
Oh, you got to unmute yourself.
My apologies. You would think I would get this down by now.
It's all good.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I know we got stuff to talk about, but I just want to commend you again for the work that you were doing in DC last week. It's no small thing. And it often goes unnoticed, the level of work that it takes to fight the fight for our families. And you need to make no apologies for the work that you're doing. You are protecting Black women when you stand for their rights. And you're also countering the narrative that Black people don't care when we are killed by our own. And so in so many different ways, you are doing the work, you're fighting the good fight, and tell the trolls to sip some water under the bridge or something, because you do actually out there. You out here, and so proud to call you friend. Great work yet again.
No, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. We're not going to waste no time.
Okay.
We're going to go right into it.
Okay.
The what the hell person of the week.
Okay.
Ann Couture. I don't really care to say her name properly.
Okay.
She went on the internet and decided that she was going to tweet about how the NAACP has issued warnings for Black people, travel warnings for Black people not to come to Florida. Can you read it? It's so little.
Oh yeah, Ann Coulter, that woman.
Can you make it bigger? So she said that the fact that the NAACP has issued this warning in Florida against Black people traveling to Florida, she just wanted to let the restaurant and tourism industry brace for a 0% drop in tips. I know what did the kids say? She thought she ate.
She thought she ate, but and don't nobody care what Ann Coulter say anymore anyway. I mean, she's a virulent racist. Her time is long since passed. And this is just another shot at her trying to be relevant for her racist base. But she can go somewhere on with that. And speaking of the travel advisory, are you even allowed to say NAACP in Florida schools right now? I mean,
you can't say racist in Florida schools. They done banned. listen, our governor, the Satan, as I call him, he's banning everything but guns.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sir, really?
Yeah.
This is where we at with it? When I first saw this, I saw it on Ms. Funky Dineva's page. Shout out to Quentin. Mm-hmm. And he was like, what is she talking about us? Da, 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 da. And I commented and I said, look, they not taking us serious because they haven't taken us serious because we haven't taken ourselves serious since the Montgomery bus boycotts. Mm-hmm. And what I meant by that was if she's talking about some sort of economic movement, basically saying like Black people still gonna spend their money. Mm-hmm. Like NAACP is issuing travel warnings. Mm-hmm. Black people still gonna show up and spend their money regardless. Like we have not really effectuated a successful long-term boycott since then. Mm-hmm. I got so much pushback from Black people on the internet. They're like, no, this is you're talking about respectability politics. And I'm like, no, I'm talking about our inability to unify behind something other than comments on social media.
Yeah. I mean, Sue-Ann, you're so right. And especially because so many people want to wear the shirts, I'm not my ancestors. And I'm like, yeah, you're not, because our ancestors actually were courageous and resilient. They did things like the Montgomery bus boycott, 381 days. I'm actually just reading again, I've been reading again, just history of that of late the past few weeks, and just the level of fortitude that it took, especially just the direct threats of violence, their counter narratives and disinformation campaigns trying to sow discord among the leadership. There was individual personal pressure from people potentially losing their jobs and things like that. And they all came together and said, we're going to stand and fight for this thing and see it through. And they did. And their economic power almost crippled the Montgomery bus system. They had to acquiesce to their demands because they had no other choice, the city of Montgomery, that is. And so I'm completely with you. And I wish more people would like actually be about the work instead of talking about the people doing the work. But that's a whole nother conversation though.
I mean, it really is. I feel like it's so important for us to not just recognize our power, but for us to use it for good. It's like, and cool, she's already canceled. I mean, she was never at the cookout or anything, but she's at their stuff. What do they have? A gala? I don't know. Whatever they have, she's over there. Yeah. But, you know, she's basically saying, I know you guys won't wield your economic power. Like we tried to boycott the NFL. That, you know, that didn't work out. And then we were saying we hate the Grammys, and then we was back over there. So I'm just saying, like, hey, Ms. Smith, let's try. You know, if we really want to do something, let's do something. Let's not.
I'm with it.
You know, whenever y'all ready, you know, we'll make it happen. I'll be there. You know, I didn't want to.
I'm ready when the people ready.
When the people are ready, it's the people's movement. Okay, so we all got to be making more than a moment. You have to make it a movement and decide what we're unifying behind. But that in and of itself is difficult because we arguing every week on the internet about 50-50 and whether or not Tory Lane shot Meg and all this stuff. Like we can't even get to the substantive issues. Okay,
I see one more 50-50 debate like this month. We only got a week left, but like I feel like they're happening like every other week, and I'm just like, oh,
okay. Please. Let me address it before I bring Queen Sheba so the palace can see their queen. Okay, the 50-50 thing, whatever with splitting bills or whatever it is, do what's right for you.
It's really that simple. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and I was basically saying everyone that I know who's in a healthy and functional relationship is not on Twitter arguing about relationships. They're at home making their relationship work. And the thing about it is, you're exactly right. People have to do what works for them, and different arrangements works for different couples. And you have to get together with your partner and figure out what works best for you all, and not letting strangers on the internet dictate your expectations for your relationship. But again, that's a whole nother conversation.
We can have a whole night just talking about that.
Yes.
Okay, let's bring in my soror, Queen Sheba.
That's good, Queen Sheba.
To be real,
hey, got to be. Yes.
Hey.
Let's go.
How
I'm
are
being
you?
silly. I am absolutely fantabulous. How are you?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there. We've made it to Friday Junior. Okay. Friday is right on the horizon. We're almost there, and I'm excited to be here with you and Timothy and just, doing our thing. As you know, it's definitely all self-care and love in the building, and I am honored to have you with us at the adult table again.
Thanks for having me back again. It's so funny when you introduced Timothy and you were like, lawyer, husband to Rashida. I was like, I know damn well Kirk Frost ain't no lawyer. You know?
Not that Rashida.
It's the Rashida to me. Okay.
Okay.
But that's Mrs. Welbeck.
Yeah.
Who blesses us to allow us to have some time with her husband on Thursday evening. So I appreciate her. And I low-key might have convinced her to come on next week. So not next week.
I think we've got her booked for next week. We'll confirm that.
Done. I'm super hype about that. I'm super excited about that. But I appreciate you coming. I appreciate the Palace being in the building. Thank you.
Oh, they are deep. Thank you, Palace. Y'all are up late tonight. Y'all know I love you. I appreciate them. So they're just coming off of a high. We do private wellness Wednesdays. So they got a lot of love and spirituality and affirmations poured into them. So I think they're ready to go tonight.
Okay.
I love it. Let's talk about this before we get into the rest of the night quickly, because we did talk about Ann and her craziness. But let's talk about this councilman. I won't tell you his race or color, who was arrested after getting caught with a crack pipe.
I saw that.
And then I want Gabby, Attorney Higgins, to come in.
Yeah.
Also, the woman, the myth, the legend, Gabrielle Higgins, Esquire.
Yeah.
Next to
Esquire on there.
Okay, the reason why I need Gabby, okay, because he literally is.
Yeah.
As one of the next to blow preeminent criminal defense attorneys, I gotta have you here for this, because what on earth? How do you defend this man? Can you show the Can you show it? Okay, here's the case right here. I'm not gonna say what race.
Asleep behind the wheel with a crack pipe in his hand. This is in Rhode Island. A concerned passerby saw him, called police. Even officers seemed shocked by what they found.
Councilman in Cranston.
Did y'all catch the crack pipe? Do we got to show it again? Okay, show it one more time, then slow it down.
Okay. Behind the wheel with a crack pipe.
There's the crack pipe. Okay.
In his
hand. He's going to place the crack pipe in his, I guess, crack pipe holder.
Very plain view. It's given plain view.
Okay.
And wasn't the crack laced with fentanyl too? I thought I read that too. Like
they would have to test it, right? To make that determination, right?
At least he got a seatbelt on. He got one municipal ordinance.
This is in Rhode Island. A concerned passerby saw him and called police.
Imagine.
In a Mercedes Benz, right? Pushing a Mercedes Benz with the crack pipe. That must have been a hell of a hit. To risk your position that you were, wow.
What they say, crack is a hell of a drug. That's what they say.
I don't mean to laugh, but come on, you guys. We're socialized that crack cocaine is something that happens in marginalized African American communities. And I don't know why we're socialized that way. I'm assuming that's to make us to affect our self-esteem culturally. Because this right here, if this don't tell you all you need to know, he's a whole councilman. So it's not like this is someone who's on the fringes, somebody who's marginalized. He's just casually hitting his crack pipe on his way to wherever he was the night before and fell asleep in the car.
Yeah, he sure did.
I just imagine when I saw it, if it was a black councilman, like how they dragged Marion and ran him out the town.
They did, and
yes,
right.
Right.
We need a different crack of somebody who uses crack of a different hue.
Yeah, and one of the things that's so bothersome about this too is this man is in position to make laws, at least at the local level, that impacts the lives of communities. And undoubtedly, he's probably making laws that will criminalize someone doing the same thing that he's doing in this moment. So there's that. And then like you're getting at, Suen, just the stigma that's affixed to Black people as it relates to crack cocaine and just the legacy of the crack epidemic, how it hit our communities in the 80s and 90s. And just also show you that so many of those stereotypes just simply aren't true. It's just, I know we have colleagues in the bar who don't look like us, who snort cocaine all the time. Like I've seen it happen. Well, I have not seen it happen. I've heard of it happening. And so like we often will criminalize, like you said, marginalize groups of people and then find ways to excuse the same behavior in other people. And so just the whole thing is problematic. I mean, like I know we're getting jokes off about it, but it's just wild that like he would be out in the open so brazen with his relapse.
Gabby, what's his defense?
He doesn't have one. It's pretrial diversion is what he can hope for at best. He can go ahead, go down to the drug court, get him in a good old-fashioned diversion program because it's giving plain view. It's giving you know better. It's giving you're behind the wheel of a vehicle with your seatbelt on and using drugs on a roadway that could affect several other people, the very constituents you aim to represent. Sunglasses and all.
Sunglasses and all. And then somebody saw him and had to be like, oh, I think the councilman over there with a crack pipe in his hand. That's crazy.
Yeah, they said they received several calls about a man passed out. That means he was hitting that crack pipe while he was driving. He couldn't even wait to pull aside, pull over in like a TJ Maxx parking lot. He was just hitting and driving.
Why you gotta bring TJ Maxx into it? TJ Maxx is like, what did I do?
Yeah, they're like TJ Maxx. Like, we catching strays though.
TJ Maxx said we have Gucci sneakers now. Leave us alone.
You gotta have an alibi. I was just running into TJ Maxx, Your Honor.
Wow.
I don't know how this got in my hand. No. I don't want to take a blood test or anything, but I don't know where this came from.
The window was open. Someone threw the crack pipe in there. That's what happened. He was asleep. He didn't know how I got in there.
None of these things for the viewers, none of these things that we're saying should be construed as legal advice. Actually be said, okay.
Yes, let's put out that disclaimer.
Call your lawyer, okay? Please.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about this story. The Blacks Only graduation that lit up the internet, even though my understanding is that many PWIs, which I did not go to a PWI, I went to the FAMU. PWIs, which is predominantly white institutions, have Blacks only graduations. So I didn't see anything necessarily wrong with it. I kind of was like, why you ain't just go to a HBCU? But it's cool. If you wanted to go to a PWI really bad, or they gave you a full scholarship, and then you wanted to get your degree while James Brown was playing or whatever, it is what it is. I don't see a problem with it. Again, the internet was giving pushback because people are like, well, if you have a Blacks only graduation, then you can have a whites only graduation. The graduation, I feel like the main graduation is the white people graduation.
Yeah.
I don't have experience. Come on, Professor.
Oh, I mean, so this is the same argument when people ask about Black History Month. And ultimately, we have to create spaces uniquely for Black people to target the unique harm that Black people have faced in this country based on racial discrimination. So universities like UC Berkeley, there was a time where they just simply didn't admit Black people. And so while those policies are no longer in effect, we still have to ensure that there are places and avenues for their minority student populations to be able to not only receive the additional support that they may need, but also just receive affirmations like this. And so this isn't the entire university's graduation. This is a special ceremony acknowledging these groups of graduates, and it's creating just another safe space for graduates who are in this type of position. It's not to the disadvantage or the exclusion of others, as it's often framed, but more so to affirm particularly these graduates, their accomplishment, and particularly what it took to overcome some of the barriers they may have had to get to this position.
I want to push back a little bit.
Okay.
I think Black people need to be very careful about Black only, because we're going back to what used to be white only, Black only. And I think we also, in my opinion, we have to rise above. This is a special moment because we've been getting it for a long time. So who are we looking for validation from? Right? I kind of feel like we're constantly chasing our own tails for recognition and validation. So I think it's important, I'm not saying we should or not, but I think you should be very careful of what you ask for and the division subconsciously that you start to create. Because what if they start to do white only graduations?
I mean, I am with you, but I think they already have the white only ceremonies. They just have it like in the Hamptons or wherever at whoever's lake house, and the Black students don't get invited. I'm assuming. I don't know because I wasn't invited. You know what I mean?
Is it the Black students don't get invited, or the people with money get invited, and those that, because there's white students that don't get invited, right? That could present the same argument.
I think that most PWIs, UC Berkeley, UCF, all of the UCs, I think they preach about diversion, but don't really do much diversity and don't really do much about inclusion. And I think as a result of that, there are several Black students, and I know that this was my experience at the PWI that I went to. There are several Black students that don't get the recognition, not just for graduating, but what that means for our families, what that means to overcome a lot of efforts to keep us out of school and keep us from finishing. And I think that unifying with people who have a shared experience isn't uncommon. And I don't necessarily think that there's anything wrong with them calling it a Black only graduation if only Black people were in there. I don't think that that's a problem. And I think that they should have whatever opportunity they want to take advantage of to support one another and to highlight a very unique experience. And I think that's what diversity, inclusion, and equity really means. It's being able to support people who support you. I don't see anything wrong with it.
But we're not being inclusive when it's Black only, but we're asking them to be inclusive. And my second question is, what is it that they're doing when you say that? What is it that you need from white people when you graduate to recognize you? Why would I, walking across the stage, need a white person to recognize me? Like, can you make that make sense for me?
No, I don't think white people are recognizing them at I think it's only Black people at the Blacks only graduation. I think the other graduation is all the faculty and staff. And I think that the Black only ceremony is just the Black faculty and staff and then the Black students. So they're not, I mean, I think to go to your point, Queen Sheba, I haven't seen any white people raising concern. I've only seen Black people saying, oh, we're not being inclusive. Like how back in the days, like with Family Matters and all those different shows, we always had to be inclusive and have like one white person on the cast, right? But Friends, they have no Black people. Seinfeld ain't have no Black people. Like they was like, this our show. But we always feel like, you know what? We got to be inclusive or else somehow we're going to be excluded. But we are excluded. We are excluded. So it's not like being inclusive makes the other side, I guess, for purposes of this discussion, necessarily open up their doors and say, oh, since, you're adding a white person to the cast of your show, you know what? We're going to hire a Black person to be on Seinfeld. It just never happened. So I don't see how with this particular thing with the graduation, if they say, oh, it's open to everybody, but it's primarily, or it's started by the Black students, like I don't see the white people, rushing or necessarily now including students that they wouldn't historically or necessarily include. And I want Queen Sheba to respond. Before she does, I just want to say hey to April Gaines, Sharon White, Yvette Bell, Daryl Long, and PM Channel. What's up, you guys? Make sure you are liking and subscribing. And I appreciate everybody from the Palace who is in the building.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Queen Sheba? Like, I was using the shows, but they don't include us. What about that argument?
Education is a personal achievement.
Okay.
Right? And collectively, you may be receiving your degree, your diploma, the same time that somebody else of color, of whatever. So we all come together and say, we want to have our own graduation because we feel like they're not recognizing us. So that at that point, you've done what you needed to do. The fact that you're getting that degree is recognition because you did what you needed to do to meet the requirements, right? There's reciprocity. So I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just not understanding. I don't feel like there's a strong business case for me to jump on because I'm Black and say, yay, this is awesome. I'm still not grasping it other than the fact that we're Black. We're going to beat up. And I love that. But what does it have to do with white people?
I don't necessarily think that it's a response to the exclusion of white people necessarily. I definitely think that there's data to support that affinity groups at law firms, at colleges, at law schools have definitely led to the retention of Black males and Black females who are matriculating in any educational space. And I think having support groups of people that look like you and have a shared experience have been proven to be successful in getting you to cross that finish line. And I think as a result of that, those groups should have their own special celebrations of sorts. And I don't necessarily think that the purpose of those celebrations are to exclude white people, but instead to highlight a shared experience that has been supportive and effective in getting you to the place that you are. And I think that having an opportunity to honestly fellowship with the people, the faculty, the fellow students that got you to that place was the primary purpose of the Black only graduation ceremony. I think it was to say, we all know what it's like to be that one person that looks like you in a particular classroom, or that one person with that viewpoint in a particular classroom. And the fact that we made it, look, mama, we made it. We want to be able to celebrate that together. I completely understand what you're saying. I don't necessarily think that it's in response to a systemic exclusion of the Black experience, but I definitely think it's to highlight the Black experience and the clear achievement it is to be successful at a university like UC Berkeley with everything that goes with being on a PWI campus, for sure.
One thing I'd add to, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sue.
Shout out to Michelle Cooper, a fellow Rattler in the building. Go ahead, Timothy.
I was going to say, to Queen Sheba's point, though, one thing I do see is, especially now that affirmative action is going to be ruled on by the court in a couple of weeks, and one of the cases is hinging on Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, I could see something like this being presented as a violation of the Civil Rights Act, particularly Title VI, because UC Berkeley is receiving federal financial assistance. And I could see someone mounting a successful argument saying that they were excluded from this, not necessarily saying that that is the spirit of what's happening here, but I do see a legal challenge to something like this being successful, particularly within our current climate.
I definitely think they should change the name, and I definitely think they should have just went to Howard, and I don't think they would have had any of these problems. HU, you know.
I think that I don't think that's the name. I'm not sure if that's the name of it or if that's just what people, because that's who was there. People are like, let's call it Blacks only. I don't know. I mean, maybe it was like the Black Student Union's graduation, but I definitely can see both sides. I can definitely see that, the importance as someone who attended HBCU, and obviously I'm a member of a sorority. I get it in terms of the affinity groups. I get it of being like, okay, well, we want to walk across with our certain vibe and energy that we can't have at the main graduation. So I get that, but I get people on the outside looking in saying, well, you're saying you're being excluded, but you're being exclusionary. Totally get it. Now, let's talk about Elon Musk for a moment. So today, the FDA approved human clinical studies for a brain chip that Elon Musk, is financing and working on. I don't know about you guys, but me personally, y'all can keep that. I don't want one. No, thank you. It's enough movies that have socialized me and shown me that the brain chip thing, Black Mirror, all of them, this never ends well. Like, it never ends well when people turn into cyborgs and all this stuff. I just don't see what the value of it is. A small, less than 0.001% could be that they could use the implants to help people that are physically incapacitated, like quadriplegic, get some sort of signal to those parts of their bodies to maybe walk or something. But even then, I'm just not feeling it. I'm not even really feeling Elon Musk. He just reminds me of a movie character. The one Iron Man, like all the villains in the movie, like, this is the guy. I'm like, this is the dude. I don't know. I could be alone, but I'm not with the brain chip. I don't want one.
I mean, I'm with you, Sue. I have no desire for something like this. I understand for someone who might have a disability or has suffered a permanent injury where there could be some hope in something like this. But I just believe there's too much that could potentially go wrong, and just too much also room for intrusions upon your personal sanctity and your privacy, and just also just things that can go wrong too. And so if there's a malfunction in this chip, or if there's an error in the way it's inserted, we're talking about your brain. And so that's problematic in and of itself. And with a lot of the technology that we're seeing surface right now, we're in the mess around territory, and we're swiftly approaching to find out. So kind of to your point that, we're approaching a sci-fi movie very quickly in terms of some of the things that we're seeing with AI, with this brain chip. And just honestly, like you began with, I don't trust Elon with much of anything either. So that's yet another reason for it to be a no for me.
Yeah, I'm not feeling it. What do you think, Queen?
He seems to be a glutton for punishment, punishing others. Like, when you think about, is that the same one? That's the same guy that took over Twitter, right?
It is.
Where he went in and he did an employee survey, and he said, I want you to nominate your favorite, allegedly, senior directors, managers, favorite team leads, and he got rid of them all. And it's like an elimination of influence, almost like a dictatorship that he's attempting to create, right? Chaos. So to me, it's very much giving Psycho vibes. Norman Bates, Ted Bundy with money.
Creepy.
Something's off with him. Something's terribly off with him. If you read his family history, if you read all of the alleged encounters that he's had with, just I'll stop there. So something's completely off with this guy, in my opinion.
Okay, what do you think, Gabby?
I have no desire to be half human, half Tesla. I don't want to do it. I don't want it near me. I don't want no parts. I don't want it in my brain. I don't want it on my face. I don't want anything to do with Elon Musk at all.
Okay, so it's 4 for no. Got it. Okay, so we'll switch gears a little bit, and I'll bring Mark Anthony on. Where is Mark Anthony? Is he there? Mark Anthony, what's up?
Hey, what's going on? How's everybody doing?
NYC.
All right, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, yo? What's that, an applause?
Literally the best looking in New York City.
Yo, chill.
So I appreciate you for stepping in to the adult show.
How
have you been?
Been good. You know, same old. I'm enjoying the weather. Finally, it's pretty nice out now. So it's been really good. It's been really good.
It's summer in NYC, or spring leading to summer.
It's spring leading to summer, but I feel like some of the seasons are just getting shorter. So summer's getting shorter, spring is getting shorter, and winter is just extending, longer and longer. So I think in a few years we're not even have spring. We're just gonna jump right to summer.
You're just excited for the warm weather. What's changing in your wardrobe? You don't have to wear like the parkas and stuff. I'm in South Florida. I'm a South Florida girl. I'm first generation Caribbean American. So anytime I have to put on extra items, I don't want to be in that location. But what are you changing now that are you wearing like shorts? Are you doing flip-flops? Like, what's the change?
Like light sweaters, maybe a light jacket. Sometimes, maybe just a long t-shirt. It's just, now the jackets and the heavy jackets and the coats are being put away for good. At least until September, October.
Okay. Well, congratulations to that. So this week, I don't know if you saw on the internet, there was a story with this guy. He said that he wanted to be included in what he was calling his stepdaughter's wedding. He said he refused to pay for his stepdaughter's wedding because his girlfriend of 10 years did not want to permit him to invite anybody to the wedding, even though it was at his house. And even though he helped to pay for the daughter of his girlfriend to go to college, and he bought her a car, and he was very supportive of her financially, they wouldn't let him have guests, participate in the wedding, or have his name on the wedding invitation. So he was refusing to pay for the wedding because of that. And I'm specifically saying what he said, which is he was referring to her as his stepdaughter, but he was not married to the mom. So we can play it. Can we play it? Yeah. Okay, let's play it. Okay, there it is. Is it up?
She wants her real daddy to walk her down the aisle. Now, let me give you a little backstory on me and my stepdaughter. She just graduated from university, which I paid for. Now, she went to an in-state university, but it still cost me about $40,000. Now, I also bought her a car. I bought her a car straight after high school. That way she could go back and forth to school. I bought her a car. She still lives with me and her mother. She does not have a job. Now, she's set to be married on August the 8th. And for the past 6 months, that's all her mother been talking about doing, being occupied with, being consumed most of their time. Now, her daddy, he don't contribute to not 1 cent on her, not her education, not child support, which is partly her mother's fault because, she didn't fight for that. And that's, I guess that's just what the settlement was. And he only around to make promises. I do that for you. I do this for you, and then take off. And then she'd be heartbroken. But she adores her father, right? So, like I said, she's set to be married in August. And the wedding venue, I told them they can have it in my home. The wedding venue can hold about 250 people, right? Now, I said, hey, I got a list of 20 people that I want to come to the wedding. I'm paying for this at my house. I want these 20 people to come. Do y'all know Saturday, I see one of my friends at the golf course, right? He's supposed to come to the wedding. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna see you at the wedding, right? He said, I only got an announcement. I didn't get an invite. I'm like, nah. I'll let my girlfriend and stepdaughter know to send out the invitations on these few people, and you're supposed to get an invite. He said, I got something, but it was an announcement. So we walked to his car because I want to check, right? And sure enough, it was an announcement. So I went and talked to my girlfriend and said, did you invite those 20 people to the wedding that I told you about? Man, she didn't invite none of them. She said 250 people is a little tight, and I don't think we can get your 20 people in there. Man, I was pissed. And the people that were supposed to come, they pissed as well. This you're gonna say if any other people that we already invited don't RSVP, then we'll get some of your people in here. I'm like, what? Man, that's crazy, man. Don't even worry about it, man. I'll just be mad. All right. So now, the crazy part about it is when I check the invitations, they don't even have my name on them. They have her real daddy and her on the invitation that I paid for. I paid for these invitations. How you got a real daddy on there, her mama on there? Cool. A couple days later, I'm hosting the venue at my house, hosting the wedding family at my house, okay? It's me, stepdaughter, girlfriend, groom, and their parents, right? Trying to help everybody get real acquainted. Then a surprise guest shows up, my stepdaughter's real daddy. And I'm like, you know what? Cool. He probably just coming to the wedding, right? But tell me why my stepdaughter proceeds to stand up and
Suan, you're muted.
We want to bring in B. Taylor, actress, media personality extraordinaire, to make sure that we really have a robust panel for this discussion, because this is a robust discussion. I can see the comments going crazy. I see it. Okay, I see it. I have my own opinions, but I am going to reserve them to the end because I don't want to taint anybody. I don't want to taint it. Okay. So I'll let Mark Anthony, who almost became a stepdad on Ready to Love. I'm just playing.
Yo, chill.
So what are your thoughts on this? What do you think about the story? Do you think he should pay for the wedding, or what do you think?
I think it's unfortunate he even has to even go, online and say any of this. He shouldn't pay for the wedding at all. If he's funding the wedding, he should have some say on what happens in the wedding, especially if, and prior to that, he's explaining how he paid for his stepdaughter's college.
Is it his stepdaughter if they're not married?
I guess technically, maybe by law, maybe not. I don't know what how the laws are, but if
I'm not talking about the law. I'm saying, what do you think? Do you think that he is the stepdaddy if he just has been the boyfriend? Stop buzzing for the last 10 years.
For the last 10 years, I mean, if 10 years, a whole decade in a kid's life is a good chunk. So
but
I would
not
say,
married, but he want to be in the wedding. In a wedding.
Yeah, but fair, but he's funding the wedding, and he's known this woman for 10 years. I mean,
he's a friend.
That's pretty fair. No. He's a benefactor. He's more than a friend.
Okay, so he's like Coca-Cola or whatever. He's a sponsor.
Yeah, but even sponsors have, they have their logos all over
They got the logo.
The logos. So, his version of the logo is, hey, bring my people in, and I should at least have 20 people at my wedding. And what else did he ask for? Yeah, that's it, right?
He wanted his name on the invitation, and he was mad that the dad came to do the walking part. Okay.
And it depends. And I think and I was about to say, and it depends on the relationship that she has with the dad. Is the dad an absentee dad? If he is, then I'll even be more offended that this is what I'm doing as a stepfather, and the dad's not chipping in to any of this, but yet you won't give me any of the rights of a father, at least to have my name on the invitations and invite the people I want to see my stepdaughter get married off.
Okay. So one vote for the pseudo stepdad. Okay, B. Taylor, what's up? How are you feeling?
Hi. I just want to make a correction. I'm not an actress. I'm a news journalist, so I actually work for NBC affiliate. I've been a journalist for several years now, but yeah.
That's
yeah. Just want to make that correction. But was there a question or?
Yes, the question is, do you think this man should contribute to the wedding, not contribute? What's the what are your thoughts on it?
With these stories, I'm just like, can we fact check? Because what man is gonna go to the internet to talk about this? Like, just is this like a discussion that they're trying to like ramp up and start to discourage men to become stepfathers? Because this is just like the telltale of like many reasons why you don't want to be a stepdad, you know, and like telling these horror stories of how men are never appreciated. I was raised by my step grandfather. And they were basically like my parents. My grandparents were my parents. And I appreciate him as if he was my father. Like he walked my sister down the aisle. My dad walked my sister down the aisle halfway, and my grandfather walked her the rest of the way. And that was our step grandfather. So to say that stepfathers or step grandfathers are not respected, it's all about how you're raised to be respected. So if this is true, I blame the mother for not setting those boundaries and allowing this man to come in and pay for all these things and not be appreciated. And the father is getting all of these benefits and he's not putting in any effort the way the stepfather is. And so I just feel like these narratives are being pushed to discourage men from being stepfathers. And it's quite disgusting. I don't think this is real, but I blame it on the mother if it is.
Okay. Do you think he's an actual stepfather if they're not married?
No.
Okay. So does your response change based on the fact that in this thing, that could be real or not, he's saying it's his girlfriend for 10 years, and that's his girlfriend's daughter. He wants to walk his girlfriend's daughter down the aisle. He's done all this stuff for the girlfriend's daughter. He has not married the mom.
For him to, he wants such a commitment when he couldn't even commit to her own mother. So that's kind of weird. It's like you couldn't even put a ring on her mother for 10 years, but you want to walk her daughter down the aisle before her own blood father. And I think he's overstepping his boundaries. He shouldn't be paying for anything. He should be playing the boyfriend role that he's been playing for over a decade. So
I don't want to let my personal theory out the bag yet, because again, I don't want to taint. But okay, Timothy.
Sue-Ann, now you got me curious about what your personal theory is.
I'm gonna say it.
But what I will say, I'd echo a lot of the sentiments that have been said already, but I will begin by saying there's more to this story than we're hearing. And one of the things that stood out to me is he kept referring to his stepdaughter's father as her real father. And so the fact that he's referring to this man as her real father is signaling to me either he does not fully see himself as her father, or he has been made to feel as though he is not a father figure. So that's one thing. Obviously,
maybe because you're not married to the mother.
And that's where I was going next. I mean, I'm old school. Like 10 years is more than enough time to have made a decision. And if you want to be in this young woman's life in this way, you can certainly parent and play a parental role, but you can make that official. It's part of the reason why we have the institution of marriage in that way, to signal a lifetime commitment between two people. And so, but from my vantage point, like, can people play a parental role outside of the traditional like title of husband and wife? I've seen it happen, but it's preferable for him to make this official, to marry her mother and to officially become this young woman's stepfather. But beyond that, though, there's significant dysfunction here. He's gone to the internet to communicate his feelings. We don't know if he's communicated this to his partner, but it seems as though he has not. And he is taking on this financial responsibility for this wedding that he obviously has no say in. And so that's signaling that there is some type of transactional nature to their relationship and also some unmet expectations. And so with all of that said, so much of this could have been averted with one, just him and his partner having a real commitment that's documented, them marrying each other. Beyond that, I think that communicating clear expectations as to what's happening, because he's funding these various things and he's not necessarily communicating his expectations in a way that are clear, because he's anticipating these people are invited. He's finding out subsequently they are not. He's expecting to see his name on the invitation. He is not. So somewhere there's a miscommunication there. And ultimately, I don't think they're going to last long, particularly after something like this. But it sounds as though, just again, like there are unmet expectations, in part because the commitment is not clearly established.
Queen Sheba, I see you nodding, and I see your comments. We can't hear her, or maybe they can, but I can't. And my camera's off.
Oh, that's good.
My mic actually reset. Can y'all hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. What Dr. Dre say? I know you're bobbing your head because I can see you. Yeah, I was doing all of this bobblehead stuff. Listen, something is completely off. Something is not right. I'm a step parent. This is not how you do this. This is not how you engage. So first of all, she's not a child. She's a grown-ass woman right now. So let's not approach this young lady as if she's a child. The other thing is, every example that he gave regarding her and what he's done for her, he used money as an example. No love, no mentoring, no, I prayed for her when she fell and hit her knee. I was the one that I wiped the blood off her knee. I taught her how to skate. I held her hand. I did dads for donuts. None of that. I paid for this. I did this. And then he's pissed off about doing it, right? So let's just hold space for that. You're mad about it. Being a step parent is a thankless job, and you have to understand that. Kids are not property. And I don't like the way he's approaching her as if she's his woman. She's your stepdaughter, not your woman. So the expectations and the obligations is not aligning for me. For you as a grown-ass man, expecting your stepdaughter to honor you like your wife would. Come on. I'm going to pause here. And I think a lot of times women get caught up. And that's how kids get abused, because he comes in shining and dangling things in front of you. A little bit of money, a car. And you said this is the best thing because she doesn't have a father. So you have to be very careful. Let's not associate him with abuse, but you have to be careful, right? About who you allow around your child. He has not married the mother, so it's not a legitimate relationship. She does not have to legitimize him. He's not her father. She knows who her father is. We don't know if her father is active or not. We can't just go on his word. That's the first thing. It's giving creep vibes to me because you got your beard in a ponytail. I'll pause there.
Shiba said the beard in the ponytail told it.
I mean, what are we really doing? And if you really love this child, because that's how you're referring to her, why are you talking about her on the internet? Because your family and friends, we know when it comes to marital business, but he's not married. So he doesn't understand that. They're unforgiving. So first of all, you don't even know how to be a husband because you honor your marriage. You honor your union. You honor that. You protect that. He's exploiting a gap in the relationship. What else? I said he's dominating her. I don't know. It's just something's off. I think there's way more to this, and I'll back down.
Sue-Ann, if I may just really quickly, a few people in the comments have asked about common law marriage. And what I would just say to that is a state-by-state determination. So I don't know what state they're in, so I can't comment on whether they would have a valid common law marriage. But generally, the elements of that is the two have to cohabitate. They have to present themselves to the public as a married couple. Typically, you have to have had some form of solemnization, even if it's something to the extent of, I want you to be my wife or something like that.
And he's calling her, he's saying my girlfriend.
Exactly.
And saying stepdaughter.
Exactly. So it doesn't seem like the elements are here, even if that were the case, generally speaking, you also, the time limit is different per states too. Some states is 10 years, some states is 7. So it really depends on the state, but it doesn't seem like all the elements are here, even for a common law marriage, because he keeps referring to her as his girlfriend. He never refers to her as his wife. And again, from there, we don't know how they're holding themselves out to the community, but it seems as though there's confusion there. And that would be enough to invalidate a claim for a common law marriage too. The other things too, like a joint bank accounts or holding joint property or other types of things that can be considered for making this determination. I don't know what their finances are like, but it seems as though there's enough separation, enough confusion there to where they may not have, it doesn't look like they've met the terms of a common law marriage even for that. But I know a few people in the comments were asking about that.
Yeah. Can I say one thing really quickly? I just want to point out, like, I focus on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience. Do you see how he skipped over the mother? She doesn't have a title. She's his girlfriend. But how did you legitimize her being your stepdaughter without making her mother your wife? Something's off.
I agree with that. Gabby, what do you think? Is that another panelist there? Go ahead, Gabby.
I call cap on the whole thing. I think any grown man that's about to get on TikTok in his living room and talk about family business needs to be stopped and shouldn't have been married in the first place. I think that if we want to put him on a step,
not married.
We can put him on a step and repeat. I'm okay with that. If we want to put him on the back of the program, brought to you by TikTok and have his @ name, that's fine. But he has no business walking this grown lady down the aisle. We don't know if the wedding happened. I think he's the real villain. I think the ponytail and the beard is the real villain, to be honest. Coming in second is the mother. And quite frankly, if he feels like he can purchase 20 extra people or pay for their food, they might as well come. She shouldn't have lied to that man about the announcement versus the invitation. They coming to his house anyway. You don't need an invitation to have your friends come to your house.
They're going to be there anyway.
Seem like cap to me. Cap alert on everything.
Okay, so I agree with a little bit of what everybody's saying. My main concern when I heard the story that kind of like made my spidey sense tingle was the language that he was using, because he was saying girlfriend and stepdaughter. To me, he could have just said her name, or if he didn't want to say her name, he could say wifey if they're not married and he doesn't want to whatever. It's just the way that he referred to the mom with very casual, but he's asking for very formal things. Like he wants to be on the invitation. What are they going to put next to his name? Homeboy, long-term living partner, best friend. Like what is going to be on the invitation? It's going to be the mom's name, her bio dad's name, and then this dude, uncle. Like what? Listen, growing up, I can tell you my parents divorced when I was younger, but they maintained a solid, very good co-parenting relationship, very good friendship. So I had a great example of a co-parenting family, and I've had a stepdad and I've had several stepmoms. Okay. I can tell like actual
several. How many? Because I'm being messy now. I'm being nosy.
3 stepmoms. My dad is a professional marrier. Love him. But listen, I just think that if he wants to be included in a formal thing like a wedding ceremony, which obviously is very formal, what is his title gonna be? You cannot put on their boyfriend. When growing up, when my parents were in the dating stages with their people, you refer to maybe them as Mr. or Ms., you know. Sometimes auntie, like in the very, very beginning, you know, because you call people by a formal title, you just don't say their first name, because I'm first generation Caribbean American. You can't just call adults, whatever. You can't even call older cousins by their first name. You have to say cousin so-and-so. Yeah. So there's a level of formality, but how is he asking to be involved so formally and not formalizing his situation? Tammy said they should put financier or what Mark Anthony was saying, put sponsored by. I don't
Sponsored
think that
by
makes it worse. That pulls people deeper into their business. It's like, I don't know. I would have just let the 20 people come.
And Sue, and to your point too, like you said, like if he had stepped in like a true stepfather, and Queen Sheba mentioned this too, we would have seen more evidence of that, even in the way he was speaking about that. My wife was raised in large part by her stepmother, and her father and her stepmother did not legally marry right away, but my wife's stepmother was intimately involved in her life from a small child. And so like it's perfectly possible for that to happen. And you just step in and play that parental role, even while the title is like forming and things like that. But we're not hearing that here from this man. And I thought what Queen Sheba said was just really telling. Everything that he mentioned was something that he paid for. And we also don't know how old his supposed stepdaughter was when he entered her life. She is old enough to be married, and he entered her life 10 years ago. But does that mean that she was 20 when he entered her life and she's now 30? Was she 16 and now she's 26? Like, we don't know how old she is either. And so we don't know the role that he played in her formation as the woman that she is too. But he wants acknowledgement as her father, but has not demonstrated that he has been a father to her. He has done some great things in financing her education, financing her wedding, paying for a car. Those are all incredible things, but being a father is more than being a financier.
Mark,
but aren't they? Yeah, I was about to say, aren't these examples of him actually being a great father, at least a stepfather?
No,
I mean, for you to finance.
I'm a stepmother.
Oh, so wait, financing your education, buying you a car, funding your wedding. These are not examples of.
No.
But how could they not be though?
You took, because y'all don't. Okay, so do you understand children and the heart of a child and what they need? They don't give a damn about your money.
Yeah, but she's a grown woman.
You do. No. Let's pause, because you said, is that not an example of being a father? No, not necessarily. Yeah. No, kids want you to. I'm a stepmother. I'm trying to tell you. They want you to talk to them.
Yeah, but we're talking about this woman's getting married. Where I'm assuming she's a full-fledged adult here. So if he's been financing all these, I'm not saying that makes him the best father. Look, I could only judge him off what he's saying.
Right.
Gotcha.
Obviously, there's a lot that's not being said. So we have to take in, we just have to judge his words for what it is. So a man who's a step parent comes into this person's life, buys her car, funds her education. I think he said, what, $40,000? That's no joke. And funds her marriage. Now, it comes to me like it just seems like these are good traits of a man who's actually taking care of business. That's how it comes off to me. Now, I'm not saying that he's the best father in the world, but if this is what he's doing, these are examples of what a good father is to me.
I understand.
Mark is saying he's doing the provider part of what a man is supposed to do. That's the examples that he's giving. He's doing the provider part, which I agree too. If the things that he's saying he did,
that's what a man's supposed to do for his woman.
He is. Yes.
Y'all keep confusing husband and wife relationships with children. We got to stop.
I'm not confusing. I'm trying to underscore Mark's point, which is he's saying, hey, the guy is in there. He's being a provider. He should get some sort of recognition for the things that he's naming. He didn't run down a list of, the times he picked her up from ballet or anything like that. But he's putting his money where his mouth is. And that's what, we spend a lot of time talking about deadbeat dads who don't pay child support and men who don't provide and all of that stuff. So here's a man that's like, listen, I'm going to lead with my provision. What's wrong with that? Is that what you're saying, Mark Anthony?
Yeah. And that doesn't negate that he hasn't done like, the other things for the daughter. We have no idea. He just hasn't mentioned it. He just mentioned the stuff that I guess to other people would matter the most, which is the provisioning part. Because a lot of people could say, hey, I came here, I hugged my daughter, I took her to the ballet class, blah blah blah. But not too many people could fund a child's education. Not too many people could buy their kid a car. Not too many people could just fund a whole wedding. So he's just naming just very salient parts of what he does, what he's doing for his stepdaughter. That's the reason why I kind of look at it as, look, whether we agree with how he's talking about it or not, this is not something that could be easily done by anybody, who's actually accepting a kid that's not his.
I think Mark Anthony has a point just in that we should not look past that he has made a considerable investment in this woman's life. And so for all
he has not made a considerable investment in whose life?
In this young woman's life. He's made a considerable investment in her life. Now, financially he has. And I do think that is worth noting. But there's still something we're not seeing here. And part of the reason I say that is because, like, for all of his expectations of wanting to be in the invitation and being able to invite 20 people, he still is referring to this other man as her real father. As there's a disconnect somewhere, even in his own mind, between his investment and involvement in this young woman's life and what's actually happening. Because like he's thrown around tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars for her, but he's still referring to this other man as her real father. So he's acknowledging that there's something there that's not fully clicking.
Do you think that he's just using it interchangeably with biological father? Because sometimes that just be the shortcut to just saying, or her real dad, because that's her biological dad. But people tend to just not use the word biological.
Not the young man.
Listen, the heart doesn't lie. When you speak about what you've done and what you consider love, he told you the way he loved her. Through money, period.
Yeah, but a lot of people love through provisioning too.
Right. But we're talking about him. We haven't heard her speak, right? So she's not on trial. He is. She didn't ask him to do that. He did that, and he expected something in return. So is that really love? Is that really a father? When you feed your child, you expect them to jump for joy and praise you all the way down the aisle? Or do you do that because that's what a parent is supposed to do? Do you do it because you love them? You see what I'm saying? Like, when you let's not look at him as a step parent that came in and saved the day. Let's look at him as a parent the way you would love your child and your expectations for your child, right? And if they didn't do it, right? Because I don't know, I'm a step parent. I would never tell my stepson I have to sit in the front row. If he honors me and if he remembers everything that I've done and he wants me to sit in the first row of his wedding, then I will. But I do know my husband, if I was not invited to the first row, my husband wouldn't sit in the first row.
What person do you know, if he's done all these things for her, right? Throughout her, buying her a car and financing her car and her education. And then when it comes down to her being married, he's being treated the way he's being treated. That's a telltale of what their relationship really looked like. He's only telling his side, because any child, any grown adult would be appreciative. You're going to remember all the things that your parents have done for you, and that's going to reflect into your relationship. So for any child or any grown adult that's going to treat you like that on the wedding day, there's something deeper, because there are women who have their fathers walk them down the aisle and they weren't the perfect parent. They were horrible to them, but they still honor them as their parent or honor them as the person that was there for them in their life. And so for her to treat him like that tells a little deeper. I think he's missing a bigger picture of what the relationship is actually looking like.
That's true too. Yeah, that's true.
The last thing I'll say is this man is also hurt. And I think that's something too we haven't fully acknowledged. Again, there's a failure to communicate just throughout all of this, but he ultimately is communicating that he's hurt. He should be telling his partner this. I can't say whether he has, but that's who this conversation needs to be with. The internet did need to know this, and just generally we need to know less about people's lives anyway. But
that's a fact.
but this man is hurt, and he feels as though he has earned something that his relationship status has not conveyed to him, and that's a failure of commitment, failure of communication. Because, like I said, just in a broader sense, and even in an anecdotal sense, I've seen what it means for a step parent to come in and be a real parent. My wife's stepmother has been that to her. Since my wife was a very small child, to the point that my children don't even call her a stepmother. She is just their grandmother, because she is a mother to my wife. So, like, I've seen what that looks like, and that's not what I'm seeing here. And so, there's a lot of dysfunction in this house, lack of communication. I hope they can have a real conversation.
Agreed. Speaking of oversharing on the internet about your relationship, Derek Jackson's ex-wife, Draya Jackson, went on a podcast. It's a little heavy, okay? She was discussing her relationship with Derek Jackson, and she was talking about how during the course of their relationship, one, that she started to know the other women that he was cheating with, she felt like, better than she knew her own self, which she said she knew their bodies better than her own, because she spent a lot of time on social media, looking at their social media, checking their social media, which I think is an important point to discuss. That in the social media, see, like back in the days when it was Barbara and Shirley, like you were aware of Barbara and Shirley maybe because you see some lipstick on the collar or something like that, some perfume in the car. You was like, this is not my perfume. But in the social media era, Barbara and Shirley can be tracking each other with who got going on, who's Barbara, other friends, where she was at, what time she was at the mall, what she wears, exactly what she looks like, where her job is. I don't think that's healthy. I don't think, for the record, cheating is healthy, period. The whole situation is toxic. But it's even worse to be in that place in your relationship and then have so much access to that person. That's very tough. Then she was saying that sometimes, I guess after they actually separated, she was like they would have like shifts, or like she would come to visit the ex-husband or separated from estranged husband, and then the other girls would be leaving or whatever. And I was just like, damn, this is
bad.
This is bad. This is bad. And I don't want to say that, she should have, taken it to the grave or whatever, because I get, obviously, a part of even what we're doing is a catharsis, is being able to go, healing is in community, and she's, having the opportunity to say her side, especially because so many people on the internet have said her side for her. Oh, she must be this, or she must be like that, or he must have been doing this and that. So she's saying, this is my opportunity to say what I was experiencing and what I was going through. So I don't want to bash her at all. But that's a lot.
I'm happy to bash her. I'll sign up to bash her. If you need somebody to bash her, that's what she get for cursing them people on the internet with her bonnet on. That's what she get for saying them people are going to have all of these crazy things happening to them and their fathers and their mothers. That's what she get. God don't like ugly. And I'm the first person to bash that lady. She had no business saying that about people on the internet and putting that type of evil out in the world. And that's what she is.
But what about the
wait
people?
A second. Wait.
She was in a bad place.
No.
She wished death. She wished death.
She wished death on people's families.
Y'all watch all of part 2 because I wanted to do. I think a lot of people are not doing this woman justice, because a lot of people are only watching clips and they're not watching the full interview. Because before I did any type of reaction on my page, I wanted to make sure I'm watching the full interview. And she clarified in part 2 in it's over an hour long interview in part 2. She clarified that she was not cursing people. She was reading the word of God, of what God says about people who curse you and speak against you. So she was speaking in anger. Yes. And she do admit that she could have said it in a better way and that she could have presented it better. But she said she was not cursing people, but she understood where it came from. But she was repeating the words again. She was battling her own demons and people behind the scenes that were attacking her spiritually and speaking on her in evil ways. So she was speaking to those people. So for people to just take that and like run with it and say she deserves everything that she came to, like, let's have some empathy, because that can easily be one of us one day to go through what she went through, which was
she could
I'm gonna rebuke that straight up. But I feel you though.
But she could be just retroactively.
But I'm gonna rebuke that it could have been me, because it would not.
It could have been anybody, as in like never just judge. It's so easy to sit back and be like, "Oh, I could."
They're not judging.
I don't think it's
easy to judge and say, "Oh, that could never be me," because those main people that say that end up going through things 10 times worse.
No, I can definitely say that I've been through things in life and been a fool for love and all that. I can tell you that, you know, as at my big age, as I always say, I'm 40 years old. So, you know, I've been married, I've been divorced, I've dated, I've all that. Okay. Teenage love, the whole nine. But I can tell you right now, I'm not stalking Barbara or Shirley on the internet. I'm just not going to do it.
But you've never probably been through what she's been through.
What?
I'm saying she had never been through. Like, everybody has a different journey. Everybody has a different
absolutely.
Everybody
and that's exactly my point. I'm saying I wouldn't go through that part of the journey.
But you wouldn't know.
Anybody could. I'm saying not me. Okay, like I personally, I'm not stalking the side bitches.
Yeah, that's true.
But and that's fine. And I'm saying that, but like what she went through, I would never want to go through.
What did she go through?
I can't. What did she go through? I mean, there's a lot. She put in.
She signed up for that though.
She and she took accountability for it. And I think
B. Taylor know how I feel about this.
Thing is that she took accountability that yes, I did this. And she also, I had actually wrote out some notes, and she actually said she questioned why she did it. And she said she was a broken, conscious woman. Because she said, what kind of woman would do the things that I would do? She's talking to those women. She's not talking to y'all. She's not talking to the women that's I could never, or the women that's like, oh, I would never do this. She's not talking to y'all. She's talking to the women that are like her. She's talking to the women who play side chicks every day, or talking to the women who put up with cheating every day from a man. She's talking to those women. So let's just let her have a voice and tell her story without sitting back saying it could never be me.
No,
okay, the message is
not her voice. She should have her voice. I gave her voice. I also empathize with her. I was saying I would not take the same action. That's all I was saying. I'm not saying it in a negative way or in a judgmental way. I'm saying there's some things I would do. Like I would try a new food. I would try hang gliding. I would not do that. I'm just saying myself. I'm not saying that I don't have empathy for her or that she should not have a voice, or I'm not saying that with judgment, like, oh, she was wrong for that. She was where she was and made the decisions that she made. I'm saying I wouldn't do it. That's all I'm saying.
I want to say she was wrong for that. Let's stop. We're all adults. Let's stop. I don't care what you go through. There's a point where you cross normality and your reaction becomes abnormal to whatever triggers you, and you are responsible. That's when you start to break the law. That's when men say, well, I was triggered, so that's why I did whatever to her. That's why we cannot allow trauma to offset us to abnormality, getting into weird behaviors. A lot of women have been through a lot of things, so we're not going to do that. A lot of women have been side chicks. A lot of women have been sexually traumatized, but they have not transitioned over to stalking other women's vaginas.
Yes, they have.
They don't come out about it if they have.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. It's a lot of women who do what she does.
It's still not right. It's not right.
She's not saying it's right. And I think that's where people
But let me finish. Let me finish. Because it takes a village. Somebody got to say, sweetheart, I know you, I get it. But that's still not right. Let me reel you in. That's wrong. Stop talking about that. There's something about the way you've responded to this. It's not right. And I know you have an audience. And I know people are saying amen in the chat, sweetheart. But water seeks its own level. And we've got to get back to holding each other accountable. There's principalities. There's darkness in the world. That is a form of darkness that this girl started emulating sexual demons. I don't care what she went through. It's still wrong. And I'm not judging her, y'all, but I'm saying as a community, we've got to be comfortable. We have to start to establish a level of comfort to say, even though I can relate, that's off the chain. That's off the rocker, is not normal. And I hope she gets the help that she needs. But we will not normalize because you've been a side chick. We will not normalize because you've had sexual trauma that you get to traumatize somebody else, stalk somebody else, or adopt predatory behavior. That is predatory behavior on the behalf of a female. Y'all, that is sick.
Having empathy is not normalizing it. I think it's recognizing that she has this problem and understanding that her village couldn't even help her. It was God that came in and saved her. And I think that's what's so beautiful about the ending, is that a lot of people missed the mark by sitting there and saying, oh, this is this. Yes, she knows she was sick. She knows she was broken. She knows she's literally taking accountability for everything that she has done, and even said how sick she was mentally and on the verge of suicide, and that no therapist, not her mother, not her community, not her aunt, Derek, no one could save her but God. And that's the beauty of the message, because we're not normalizing it. It's the fact that there are sick people out there that think the way she thinks, and she's made it out of it. Because women like that usually end up in the grave because they end up offing themselves, or hurting, or in jail because they end up hurting somebody else. And it's the fact that she's able to sit on this interview, not in handcuffs and not in the grave. I can respect that.
I'll say, so you're saying she's turning her pain into purpose.
Yes.
And she's saying, for anybody who's ever been in this level of, at this stage, I'm going to be transparent in saying how deep it went.
Mm-hmm. And
I came back from that. And you can too. Because if I was so in this place, then she's saying you can come back as well.
Yes.
Queen Sheba is saying she needs therapy.
I would say I don't think that self-harm or dark thoughts or anything, when I say that she had it coming to her, I'm certainly not talking about any of those things. I do think that she was not a good steward of her platform, neither her nor her former husband. And I think that we all have to be responsible for the things that we say. And regardless of the places that we're in, we have to accept responsibility for the impact that our words have on other people, especially when we wield so much influence online. I think that, God bless her. I do agree with you. She is not talking to me. I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. I'm not her audience.
Timothy.
Oh, okay. So I think there's a lot of truth in what's been said, but I'm leaning more in the direction of what Queen Sheba and what Gabby have said, and that what this woman went through is traumatic. I had a chance to kind of look at some of the things that she talked about. She was sexually assaulted at 19. She met Derek shortly thereafter. Obviously, he's a philanderer and a manipulator. He abused her emotionally, isolated her from her family, things like that. So she underwent layers of trauma, but that does not excuse some of her behavior. And I think that's where, just like Queen Sheba was saying, that we as an audience and we as a community have to come in and say, we empathize with you, Danae. What happened to you is inexcusable. Derek is an evil man. We wish you had never met him. And we hope that you get the help that you need so you can heal properly. But we also need to be able to say that some of the things that she did was harmful to some of these other women and just her audience at large. And we can understand the place that it's coming from. and still say that it was wrong. And I think that's where we have to, those are the lines of distinction that we have to make. I'm glad that she's not with Derek anymore. I don't even know why anybody sat and listened to that man. Like anytime I saw that man sitting in his car with his phone in his face, I'm like, why is anyone listening to him and giving him money? But I'm glad that she got away from him. I'm glad that she seems to have getting a sense of who she is again. But we also got to be able to say wrong is wrong. And I think just we as a culture are losing that.
Okay, so accountability, right? Because we've been talking about that a lot as a culture, accountability. And B. Taylor saying she is taking accountability, and Gabby, Sheba, Timothy are kind of saying, okay, that's fine, but let's underscore that some of the behaviors she was doing were negative. Let's not focus only on empathy. Let's also use the example and say, hey, there's some behaviors here that other people should not copy or mirror. These are not appropriate behaviors, which she admits. In the interview, they're not appropriate behaviors, and she in fact had to rescue herself from those behaviors. So speaking of accountability, Mark Anthony, did you want to say anything on
that? The thing is, I'm not really aware of this story. I just read the headline. I'm aware of who Derek Jackson is.
Right.
And I guess that's his wife. But I think it kind of spun, it was his ex-wife. But I think it kind of spun off
to... They're not officially divorced yet.
Oh, okay. They're not divorced.
Oh, strange. I guess you guys kind of spun off to, I guess, some of the stuff that she did. So I'm unaware of any of that also. So that's the reason I'm not sure if I could comment on any of this.
Okay. I want to bring in Mike the Philosopher, known on YouTube as Black Man Ranking.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Sue-Ann.
No, I appreciate you being here. You're Mike the Philosopher, so obviously you have a very unique perspective, a male perspective that we need. We have Timothy, we have Mark Anthony, so we're happy and excited that you could join. Happy to have you. Do you have any closing thoughts on this? On Denied Jackson? And
well, first I do. First of all, I want to say, my camera is having some issues, so I apologize about that. Now, as far as Derek Jackson, I think that, first of all, I do feel like she is a bit of a victim because this man is a one-man cult. Okay, that's how I view Derek Jackson. He knows how to manipulate women. He's made a living off of manipulating women. She was under his spell. Okay, as his wife, she is frontline on all of his manipulating and coercing and things like that. He has a way of having women do things for him that he wants them to do. And so much so they handed him money. So I can't really, she does have some accountability, but the main thing for her is she needs to find out why she was so willing to do everything for this man. And she needs to look deep down inside herself and say, why am I stalking other women for this man? Why am I trying to be intimate with all these women for him? What is it about me that needs his validation? So I think that mainly she is a bit of a victim, but this guy, when I first seen Derek Jackson, I knew he was on BS day one. I knew he was on BS day one.
What were the Mike the Philosopher red flags for Derek Jackson?
Practically everything. First of all, he wasn't equal. He did not hold the women accountable. Okay, he only held men accountable, and it's never only one side. It's never only one side of the story. So when I seen that he was clearly pandering. We call him a panda bear. Okay, He was clearly
Panda bear.
pandering to his audience. Same thing Steve Harvey do. Okay, same thing a number of other guys do. And he's in that class with those men, but they have an audience to feed. So they're going to feed you what they feel like you want to hear. And unfortunately, it worked like a charm. It's even working for Steve Harvey, right now.
So your theory is that Derek Jackson was talking about red flags in men, things men shouldn't do, holding men accountable for cheating, for seeking love outside their marriage, for not being good stewards, for not being protectors, or whatever his various things he was talking about. But he was actually basically warning people or women or his audience about the behaviors that he was doing.
Right. He was doing that. He was warning them about the stuff he was doing. Here's the thing. I don't necessarily believe he believed the stuff that he preaches. He wasn't even practicing most of the stuff that he was preaching. He knew there was an audience that was hungry to hear some of the things that he was saying. He knew that there was an audience that wanted to be validated in certain types of ways. And all he did was give everybody, look, you want my hamburgers? I got the best hamburgers out there. I'm going to feed you whatever you want. Here, have it your way, But he did not hold the women accountable for some of the things that they were doing too. So this was a marketing campaign. This wasn't really real life. This was business. And a lot of women really kind of took it and kind of ran with it because it was validating them. And they may have thoughts and things like that with their girlfriends and discussions. And he was a male with the same perspective as those women. And once they seen a male saying that, same thing like when you might see a black person who goes along with a group of white people, right? No offense, but some maybe black Republicans or something, right? They'll say stuff that will put a face on their agenda. And that's sort of what Derek Jackson was. He was a face for the female agenda who was frustrated with men, in my opinion.
So do you think that the fact that he wasn't practicing what he was preaching and he wasn't living that way, and he obviously was in his real life demonstrating all these negative behaviors, does it change his messages?
Well, yeah, and that's a great question. No, because he was right about some things. I mean, he's not going to be all the way wrong about everything. Okay, so I'm not saying that. So he hit on, in order to really manipulate someone, you have to tell a little bit of truth. You have to sprinkle in a little bit of truth, because then it will get you to buy in to the rest. Now, some of the things he was saying about men and the cheating and the things, all of that was, I would say most of it was correct. He should know, because he's doing the same thing.
So then if the things that principally the things he was saying were correct, the problem is now with the messenger, because he's a bad person. He's living this life. He's not living up to what he's saying. So it's that the messenger is bad.
The messenger is bad. The message was disingenuous, really.
Okay.
Because it really wasn't a fair perspective on, what was going on. All he was doing was telling women what they wanted to hear. He did not believe it. He was not practicing it himself. All he did was probably said a whole bunch of stuff that was said to him, and just kind of re-engineered it into some things that he thought women wanted to hear. The messenger was bad. the message itself was disingenuous because it wasn't. I mean, it was clearly biased. It wasn't unbiased. So all of it was bad, in my opinion. When I first seen him, I said he's a joke because he's not being honest with women. And if I'm being honest, it kind of made me upset because I knew what he was doing.
Okay.
Can I interject? Because I used to listen to Derek Jackson.
Okay.
And when I was going through a heartbreak, I ran across his video because I was just typing in random stuff on YouTube, and he came across. And I am going to say that the stuff that he was saying in the beginning was helpful, but I think what he was saying, he was speaking from personal experience. He is the narcissist.
Right.
However you say it. He is that. So he was speaking what type of man he is and what to look out for. So who better to tell you about someone like that than the actual person himself? But as time went on and I got over that and I went into a healing phase and I started dating again and was, in healthy communication styles. When I ran across this video, like probably 2 or 3 years later, I noticed that it was pandering. And I was like, dang, like you're not even like, I think it was a video what did it for me. And I felt it spiritually that he was like just pandering is when he says, oh, the only reason why he's with the other woman and doing her and treating her right is because he's really just trying to get back at you. And I was like, Derek, come on now. Like he's probably doing that with her. Like you got to think like a man acts a certain way with certain women because we also have our faults and how we act in a relationship. So he may be genuinely happy with that next woman. He's not just doing those things to get back at you. And that's when I was like, let me not listen to him anymore because maybe they're right. But wrong messenger, but he actually was the right messenger in a lot of things because he was talking about himself. He was talking about what he wanted his wife to do because she even said it in an interview. She came from church and came home and and right after she felt that he was cheating on her again, he told her probably 2 days before he didn't want to have sex with her again, that they should wait 2 months until they have sex again. She came from church and said they just got through talking about forgiveness. And she said she sent him a whole text basically telling him she forgives him for all. Like she finally reached a level where she's like, I forgive you. And you know what his next text to her was? I want a divorce. He sent her literally that next text was, I want a divorce. Because if you know about what are the things he says, he's like, we don't want a woman that's easy. We don't want a woman that easily forgives us. We don't want this. We don't want a woman that we can run over for too long. We want to fight for something. And she just made it too easy. So he was talking about himself in these videos a lot of the times.
Yeah, but you can't really. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tim.
Oh, yeah, no.
Oh,
I was gonna say, I think his message is really effective because he kind of plays into the solipsism of people. So people want to feel good naturally, especially like women who are heartbroken or they've been through some kind of traumatic event. So you have a guy, good-looking guy, sitting here just selling you sunshine all day long. This is going to work, but I always feel like you can't fool people for too long because they're gonna know that they're being pandered to. People are not stupid. So this is only going to work for a certain amount of time, but it's going to work because once you catch people while they're going through whatever they're going through, selling sunshine is always going to work. And playing into their solipsism is going to work all the time until, you get there, until they feel like the wool's being pulled over their eyes and they start feeling better. Just like, what B. Taylor said, I just got in my relationship and I was able to see right through it. I was able to see the pandering a while later, but it's just an effective marketing tool. It's gonna work, and like I said, and it helps that he's a guy that women find attractive.
Okay, before we go to our next story, which has to do with accountability, but it's reversed. Queen Sheba, I know you wanted to give some remarks on this.
No, the mic is off.
Oh, you're on mute. No, still muted. No worries.
What about now?
Okay.
All right. Real quick. I think he needed to divorce her. It needed to happen. We're not talking about a healthy marriage. We're talking about abuse, y'all. And sometimes we hide under black love when it's not healthy and it's abusive. And we endure for the sake of black love when there was never any love from the get-go. This girl, there was never any love. It was always built on abuse. So one of them should have pulled the plug a long time ago. It would have gotten worse. He would have continued to abuse her, other women. She would have continued to abuse other women indirectly by sideswiping them, studying their bodies, stalking them on social media. So I'm glad that he put a stop to it, right? As crazy as it seems, he did the right thing. Yeah.
Hey, Pam Esquire, and hey to everybody that's in the chat. Make sure you're liking and subscribing. We're going to go into the close because we've been holding my beautiful adult table panel well past dinner time. So the next story, actually, I saw it online. Then Timothy texted me about it. So I was like, we definitely need to talk about this. And the reason why I say it's kind of accountability in reverse might give away my position on it already, but I'll play the video, then we'll talk about it, and we'll let Timothy start. Go ahead. Huh?
Could he possibly like me more than his girlfriend? And could I possibly be dumb to think that it's more than
what gender are you asking this question to? He might absolutely like you more than his girlfriend. That do not mean he want to be with you. That don't mean he's ever intending to wipe your. Because your girl can get on your goddamn nerves, but I still notice who I want to be with. She's just getting on my nerves right now, and I don't like her. I love her though, but I happen to like you. You know what I'm saying? Because in the midst of my difficulty with my partner, you was willing to squeeze yourself in. You didn't even try to take up space. You know what I'm saying? You was willing to fit into my life exactly the way I needed you to fit in. You feel me? I can like you right where you at. You don't want no more? You ain't asking for shit? Hell yeah, I like you. You mean I get to still go home to my girl? Yes, I like you a lot. I'm gonna talk to you a lot. You mean you gonna get up? You actually okay with me having to get off the phone when my girl walk in? Yeah, I like you, baby. I like you. I like you a lot. A whole lot. Yeah, nigga might like you more than his girlfriend. Yes.
So it's like, I guess that podcast or show, whatever, they have, public forums for their discussions. Yeah. But the lady who goes to the microphone, I guess, is asking the panel who she gets the response to, like, oh, well, as a side chick, maybe he likes me more, maybe he's into me more. And, is it wrong for her to think that as the person who he's cheating with, that she is in a higher position in his heart or in his mind? And then obviously the speaker is like, girl, yes, but it's still on the side. So I'll let Timothy, I'll say, because after this, we're going to close pretty soon. So I'll just say, I think that things that he saying is accurate in terms of, obviously I'm not a man, but I think, you are in a different space. It's not that the person doesn't like you or enjoy their time with you. It's just that it's in a certain space. Timothy.
Oh, yeah, like Suan, yeah, I completely agree. So what I'd say is this. So people on Twitter were calling this a relationship revival, and that like took me out. But beyond that, though, on his face, the brother like was telling the truth, in that a man will use a woman if she allows herself to be used. If a woman is willing to gleefully play the role of the secret lover or the side piece, the mistress, whatever we want to call her, a man will allow her to occupy that space, particularly in the way in which she framed it. So I thought there was truth there. I probably would have said it differently, but I mean, it is what it is. But the thing that I thought was missing is linked to this conversation we just had with Derek Jackson, and that he's not telling the men in the audience that you shouldn't be thinking like this, or you shouldn't be manipulating women or using women either. Just because a woman will allow you to use her, you should not use her. In the same way that Derek Jackson realized that he could manipulate women, he could exploit them, he could prey on their insecurities, and he could have a harem of women. Like at some point, we have to also, as a community, say you shouldn't be doing that either. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And so, like, that's my 2 pennies as it relates to that. But like, and yeah, like the whole jumping around was crazy.
It was a lot, and I want Mike the Philosopher to speak to it because I feel like he is saying accurate things, but he doesn't bring it around to say, yes, he likes her, yes, you know, XYZ, but that shouldn't be happening.
Right.
The behavior is actually a negative behavior. Don't normalize that. To what Queen Sheba was talking about earlier. Don't normalize cheating because, you know, it's permitted. We shouldn't normalize it. What do you think about it, Mike the Philosopher?
Well, here's my thoughts on it. First of all, I think that it depends on the situation. I think for the most part, he's right. Men can really have a side chick that they get along with. If you follow the rules of side chick, then yeah, I like you. But men can monkey branch relationships too. Men can drop the woman that they're with and go with another woman too, especially if he thinks that the next chick he's with he likes more. So he was kind of telling the truth, but in my opinion, it depends on the situation. It depends on where the guy in a relationship is at. You know, if he's still deep in love, what he said is true. But if he's on his way out, he'll monkey branch too. So that's how I feel about it.
So do you think that conversation is one-sided in that it's not holding the men accountable for cheating, or is that acceptable behavior in our community? Because you're saying there's rules to side chicks, and if you follow the rules, so is it okay?
I think the whole you know, men cheating thing is kind of a different story, so to speak. I think it's kind of he's saying if we have this relationship and we have this side chick relationship, yes, I like you, but I don't think he's necessarily speaking to cheating itself. I think that's a different kind of topic. I mean, if you want to get into that, then yes, obviously cheating is wrong, but he's saying because the first part of that conversation we didn't hear what the audience members said to him or whatever the case may be. So with that being said, it's kind of hard to determine how they got to that point. But is cheating wrong? Obviously it is, and you shouldn't be doing that. But I think that's a different discussion other than the side chick conversation. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, so you do agree that there is another side to saying, hey, you're permitting yourself to be a side chick, and this is what the reality is of it. There is another side. We just didn't see the other side.
Yes,
Okay.
you are permitting yourself, and these are the rules of side chick. But if we're talking about getting in a relationship, that's a different conversation.
Okay.
So
Sheba.
A dog cannot serve two masters, and he gave her his answer. And ladies, there's 1,000 more where she came from. There's 1,000 more where she came from. Black women will chew each other up and spit each other out over a man. Women will sit in your house, eat your food, drink your drink, and look at your man and have the ideology, but he likes me more than he likes her. Because if she was all that, why he looking at me? Why he poured me a glass of wine? Why is he nice to me? And they conjure up all of this stuff. But the competition between women has existed many, many, many years ago. When we talk about the baby, you remember the mothers that were fighting over the baby and they took it to the king? And both mothers were claiming to be the mother. And he says, I tell you what, I'll split the baby in half. And one woman says, go ahead. And the real mother said, let her have it. And that's when he gave the baby to the woman that said, let her have it. Because he knew a woman the real mother would never want her baby to be split in half. Right. And we're talking about a biblical story. There's a lot of women waiting to stab each other in the back. And that's why I talk about accountability. And yes, we got these men that are out here doing a lot, but we have women that are willingly signing up to annihilate each other.
Where is the accountability for the men? Where does the king say, you know what? I'm not doing this with y'all. Both of y'all can't be the mother. Y'all go solve this somewhere else. I'm not going to involve myself because I'm a king. I'm not going to involve myself in this. Y'all do what you're doing.
Well, the man is the head.
Or not in that example, even if you're married or you're in a relationship and somebody is making advances, then you have the discipline as a man to be like, I'm good.
They don't have discipline. I think men have said it many times that a lot of them do not have discipline. So what we're taught as women is that men are not disciplined. Their eyes are going to wander. And women, we're taught to compete with each other for a man. We're taught to, put on some makeup, do your hair like this, do dress like this, wear these colors. Because this is what appeals. Like, if you think about it, every Disney movie that we grew up watching, what was the princesses doing? They were all appeasing to the man. So we were all programmed to think like that anyway. If we want to think about like the concept of competing for a man. So, and a lot of women feel like they get played and looked over. So they just want a piece of a man. They just want to like, I'll just get a piece of a man because they feel like that's all they worth. I'm not excusing it because I can't stand side chicks. I can't even be friends with a girl who feel like it's okay to be a side chick because it's like, if you doing that to one woman, you can do it to me.
The only thing I'll add is they don't want a piece of a man. They want a piece of your man.
Yeah, they want what you got. They want your happiness. They don't even want the man. They want what's making you smile every day. That
actually goes back to this old Chris Rock joke where he says, like the difference between men and women in relationships. A man will look at his friend's wife and be like, wow, I want a woman just like her. And the woman would look at her friend's husband and say, I want him. So it goes to show that like women will line up and play second fiddle to another woman just because they value the other man that much. So I think that's like at least from my observation, the stark difference between how I generally see how men are and how I generally see how women are, as far as competing for a man that they really, really want, or I mean, competing for, respectively the man that they want or the woman that the guy wants. The woman would look at the woman's man and be like, yo, this is the man that I want.
But how is she gonna get him, Mark Anthony? There has to be some accountability, buddy. Gotta be like, I'm good. I'm in a relationship. It's thank you for the compliment.
Right.
I'm good. But if a man says thank you for the compliments, I'm also available to you just in a lesser capacity, then there has to be some sort of accountability because it takes two people to be in a side relationship. So I don't understand why in our community, everybody, to me, I can say personally in my life, when there's ever been a situation where I feel like there is a competition, I am like, give her the baby.
Yep.
Take this man. Okay.
Give her the baby.
Men are
all right. I'm gonna head out. Get somebody else to do it.
Believe it or not,
I'm not gonna, because to me, it shows me that this man is not committed to me and shows me a lack of discipline. And discipline is one of my top 3 things. So it's like, if there's a situation where I feel I need to beef with somebody else over our situation, then it's not as serious as I think. And you can go ahead. So to me, it just, there is, of course, there's certain women that are going to want to be in that competitive space. But every time I see it, I'm always like, girl, why are you kicking this other woman door down?
Because
the man is right here that you actually have a relationship with, that's led you on this path thinking that you guys are in a committed relationship, that's told you that you're the only one, or sold you these dreams, etc. Now you jumping on a stranger, or you're mad at a stranger,
right?
That has no commitment to you. That makes no sense.
Well, no,
so I want to redo all the Disney movies that are showing women competing and show women beating this dude, saying, let's team up and let's beat his ass.
I'll say this real quick.
Before
B. Taylor goes.
Let's not take it to
Taylor, before you go,
Not if she knows. My first boyfriend, I'll go ahead and put myself out there. My first boyfriend, I was in middle school. It was traumatic because my first boyfriend, my friend, I thought that was my friend, was messing with my first boyfriend, and I had no clue because I was not insecure about it. And I never would think like she's messing with him behind my back. And what did my dumb self do? I'm like, yeah, once we found out like what was going on, and she knew me and him was together. She knew. And then when he knew too. Yeah, so we weren't together. Wait, but this is the thing. We weren't together anymore. And then when he played her, she came to me telling me about everything. And then she wanted us to team up against him. But I think back on that, like, girl, I should have beat your ass and his because you were my friend.
That's fair. Your friend.
My friend
is not being a friend. And your man is not being your man.
But if you are if you're a woman I think there should be big repercussions for women who willingly go into a relationship with a man knowing he has a woman. I do think that side chicks are too confident nowadays, where they feel like I don't owe you no loyalty and don't be mad, but you know what you're doing. So don't sit here and say I should only be mad at him. No, because you're also willingly participating in this, knowing about me, playing a certain role. And I think that women like that should wear a scarlet letter, period.
Okay, I actually have a question, because if I agree with Swan, the man should be held accountable. Look, if you're gonna sit here and actually agree that you're gonna be in a monogamous relationship, then be in a monogamous relationship. So I guess depending on the relationship you have with, I guess, the side chick, whether you know the side chick or not, who are you holding more culpable, the man or the side chick in this particular situation?
For me, both. 50-50.
Oh, you're splitting it down the middle, like the baby.
Oh, yeah, because you knew. At some point, you knew, he knew, 50-50. And I'm swinging on everybody.
Period.
Left arm go to her, right arm go to him. I'm swinging on everybody. But everybody's responsible. Because if we're talking about the Black community, what are you doing in my marriage?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But even though, let's say, you don't know the side chick at all.
50-50.
Queen Sheba said everybody can get these hands. Everybody can get these hands.
These hands are rated E for everybody.
Right.
Gabby, did you want to say something? Because we're coming close to the end. Did you want to say something on this?
I think that in our community, we have a lack versus abundance mentality issue. I think that if you feel, a wise woman told me, if you feel like there's not a lot out there, then you'll argue over crumbs. And if you feel like there's more for you, then you won't wait for foolishness. So I think I'm going to let somebody else do it. I'm going to let somebody handle it. I'm going to let God get my lick back. I ain't hitting nobody about anyone else, but shout out to the people who are.
Well, listen, you guys, I want to close out our show with our adult table prayer, and then definitely we have to make sure that we pay homage to the queen of authenticity that became an ancestor, Tina Turner.
Mm-hmm.
We've discussed a lot of relationship stuff, but I think Tina Turner said it best in her song. Play it, Andre. We wrap up that all my panel get to kind of say their last words. Everybody who's in the chat, I appreciate everyone from the palace who came through to see that queen. I appreciate everyone the moderators. Thank you so much. Make sure you're liking and sharing and subscribing, because I did make a special promise once we get to 1,000 followers, and I will definitely keep that promise with no problem. I want to thank Timothy. I want to thank Mike the Philosopher, B. Taylor, Mark Anthony, Gabby Esquire, and of course Queen Sheba for stopping through. I would like to thank Andre behind the scenes who puts up with my insanity. He's in the building because I barely can get through iPhone, so there's no way I would be able to do all this stuff without help behind the scenes. So I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone who tapped in with us. We will start with Queen Sheba. Of course, the palace knows where to find you, but still, let us know.
On Instagram and YouTube as Queen Sheba Darling. And what I would like to leave the audience with is keep talking, keep talking, keep talking, agree on commonalities, and just keep talking. And eventually all things will fall together.
Thank you. Okay, Mike the Philosopher. Next time you come, we're going to have your video together because we definitely want to see our beautiful Black King in the building.
There you go. I appreciate that.
Have your voice.
Yes, I will have that ready for you. You can follow me, Black Man Rankings, on YouTube and all other platforms. I did want to say a couple other things though, real quick.
Okay, Mike the
Philosopher. First of all, with the last thing that we talked about, I will say that there are men who do turn down women all the time. Okay, when they have eyes for their woman, they will turn them down. All men are not cheaters, so I don't want that narrative to get out there. We do have the power to turn down women. Also, and another thing is, a lot of men have reported that women seem to be attracted to them when they have a wedding ring on. Just food for thought. Another thing is with the other segment, that was Kevin Wesley, who was reenacting one of his viewers as far as him being the stepfather. Kevin Wesley is a internet guy who has his own following. So it wasn't him. I know he had his beard in a ponytail, but it wasn't his.
Oh, so that was a parody.
Yeah, that was a parody. That
was reading one of his like a Dear John letter or whatever. Like
okay.
Yeah, Kevin Wesley actually
a reenactment, I guess.
Yeah, he has 2 wives himself, so he has no worries. Okay.
Isn't that bigamy?
Yeah, but he does his thing. So
you sound like he got one too many.
Yeah, so that's me. Thanks for having me.
Okay, I appreciate you, King.
Yeah.
Gabby. Next to Blow.
Thank you so much for letting me talk to you guys. You guys are all super fun. I had a great time. 10 out of 10, highly recommend.
Where can we find you if we would like to see any additional information or shenanigans?
I can be found on Instagram at GabTV. That's with 2 B's and TV.
Thank you. Mark Anthony.
Yes.
The NYC's finest.
New York City, Harlem. We're in the building, even if we're outside. But no, I appreciate this robust conversation with everybody. I'm glad I met everybody here. And Suan, obviously, I appreciate you for inviting me to the table. I mean, the adult table. And I was there for the inception of the name. So, so I'm actually really thankful about that too. So yeah.
Okay, there's a moment of transparency. Okay. And it kind of ties in a little bit, but in the moment, I was like, listen, I'm not going to go back and forth with you because I'm somewhere else with it. I'm at the adult table with it. I don't have time to do all this and all that because I'm over here. That's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Isn't it?
Yeah. I thought it was clever. I laughed. I was like, oh, snap, it's crazy.
It could have been, if you had another You know, I know Mike the Philosopher might have a different take on what occurred because he saw it on season 7.
Oh,
but that's, you know, I wasn't going back and forth. I was just saying, hey, listen, you gonna have to talk to yourself. So that's how the adult table was born. And I'm glad to have adults here who we can have a robust conversation, even in the chat, even if we're disagreeing, even if we don't have divergent points of view, we can still have a robust conversation that everyone who's participating can take their points from, can take information from, to go back and think, and like Queen Sheba said, continue the conversation. So I appreciate you, Mark, of course. And I appreciate the fact that we had our shared trauma. Well, not really trauma, but we had a shared fun experience. We had a fun summer. Let's just put it like that.
It was fun. It was fun. It was just a little bit difficult, you know, dealing with some of the scrutiny and the backlash. But, you know, you let it roll off your back. It's all good.
Absolutely. I mean, a star is going to shine regardless. You know what I mean? A king is a king. A king is a king. So I appreciate you. Timothy, where can we find you?
So I have a website, timothywelbeck.com. It's 1LWELBECK. On Instagram at Timothy Welbeck. On Twitter for as long as it hangs around at Timothy Welbeck. Superman, is always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. And B. Taylor in the building. I stand corrected. She is a multi-platform journalist.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you for having me. It feels good to be on a panel with a lot of professionals, you know, so that's just good for like networking. So if you guys want to follow me, I am B. Taylor TV on YouTube, where I talk about commentary and relationship stuff. And then on Instagram, that's where you'll see a lot of me on there. Is B Taylor _TV. So that's where you can find me, and you guys can follow me, and I'll just follow you guys back. So
definitely, for sure. Thank you, Queen. And thank you everybody who was in the chat. Like, share, subscribe. Appreciate y'all joining the adult table. We'll say the adult table prayer and then we'll be out. Okay, everybody ready for the adult table prayer?
Yes.
All right. Thank you for everybody who's at the adult table. And for anybody who's not, keep them away from me. That's it. That's all I got. I love you guys. I really, really mean it. I appreciate you all for coming, for joining, for tapping in, for spending your time with me, because you could have been anywhere in the world, but you were here with me. And I thank you for that so much. I'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
Yeah, y'all take care now.
Love you a lot.
Good night.
Bye,
Good night.
guys.
Have a good night.
Take care, y'all.
Have a good one.